Did you know that there's a simple ETF method that comfortably generates $2,000 in monthly income from a modest portfolio and outperforms popular dividend stocks like SCHD? Using this exact strategy, I've banked over $300,000 in income and guided hundreds of students towards monthly incomes of $500 all the way up to $20,000 or more. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build this safe, easy 3 ETF portfolio that will 7x your returns compared to stocks like SCHD. But in order for this to work, you need to understand the mistake that keeps traditional income investors from making big returns. Because the numbers don't lie, and when you look at them closely, they're downright alarming. Let's take SCHD, the ETF everyone loves to recommend as the gold standard for dividend investing. Now, right now, it's yielding 3.97%. And think about what that means. If you've worked hard and saved up $100,000, which as Charlie Munger said is the hardest investing milestone to achieve, you're generating just $3,970 a year, or around $330 a month. Now imagine trying to cover groceries, utilities, medical bills, or any everyday expenses on that. It's just not happening. And it gets even worse, because the S&P 500 dividend yield recently plunged to a 24-year low of just 1.29%. So if your retirement plan involves relying on dividends from the index, you're facing a financial disaster in the making. Then we have the so-called high yield solutions. Now they're even more dangerous. So JEPI, for example, is heavily marketed as this miracle income generating stock. It pays around 7.5%, which sounds tempting, but there is a cost to this. JEPI has consistently lost value, which quietly erodes your account balance month after month. So you're not actually generating income, you're just cannibalizing your own savings. And that's not income investing at all, that's just slowly selling off your own portfolio. So while you're happily collecting that dividend check, your account balance is shrinking. And here's what most investors don't realize. There's actually another way to generate consistent monthly income without having to wait for dividend payouts or being at risk of dividend cuts. And the best part is, you can do it using just your regular brokerage account. Now here's how it works in plain English. Instead of passively waiting for companies to decide when they're going to pay you dividends, you proactively generate income by selling options on high quality stocks or ETFs. You can think of selling options like selling insurance because you always get paid up front. And here's why this approach is so powerful. You're no longer at the mercy of corporate actions like dividend cuts, interest rate environments, or unpredictable economic cycles. Instead, you're generating income directly from market volatility, and markets always have some degree of volatility. Now, I realize the word options might sound risky or complicated, but here's the surprising truth. When done right, this strategy can actually be safer than traditional dividend investing. Now, the process works in 2 simple phases. First, you get paid up front for agreeing to buy quality ETFs at a discount. Then once you own those ETFs, you get paid again just for holding them. But this is the critical part that most people miss. They try this approach with risky individual stocks or poorly chosen ETFs, which is a recipe for disaster. The real secret to this is in careful construction of the stocks you use. And there's actually a specific combination of ETFs that maximizes your income and safety at the same time. And that's exactly what I'll show you next. Because it's really simple. You can use one options contract each of QQQ, IWM, and GLD. And here's why this combination works so effectively. First, QQQ, the NASDAQ 100 ETF, gives you exposure to the biggest tech companies in the world. This is what's going to drive the growth and provide the additional volatility needed for steady options income. Second, IWM, the Russell 2000, adds diversification with smaller companies, and their price movements are going to behave differently from big tech stocks, which creates even more opportunities to collect consistent premiums when the big names aren't performing. Then you have GLD, which tracks the price of gold. This is your built-in safety net. Because when stocks become volatile, gold often moves in the opposite direction, which stabilizes your portfolio. And gold itself still experiences enough price movement to generate a good income from options. And I've personally used this exact 3 ETF combination in my own account, and the consistency has been remarkable because each ETF moves in its own way, and so when one quiets down, another one picks up the slack, which constantly provides fresh opportunities for monthly income. With a $100,000 portfolio, you can use one options contract each of these 3 ETFs, which makes your life easy. So no complicated rebalancing, no guesswork. Your portfolio is balanced automatically, and you're consistently generating income from 3 completely different market dynamics. So now let me show you the real numbers from actual trades that I can execute today in the market. We'll start with IWM, the Russell 2000. With just $20,000 in buying power, I can generate $430 for a 1-month option. Now that's just over a 1.8% return every month. Let's look at GLD, which I'll need about $30,000 of buying power for. Now with this ETF, I'm generating $485 in a month, which is about 1.4%. And here's where it gets really exciting, QQQ. With $50,000 of buying power, I can collect $1,114 for a 1-month trade, which is a 2.2% return in just 1 month. Now, when we add all of this up, I'm getting $430 from IWM, $485 from GLD, and $1,114 from QQQ. That's a total of $2,029 in 1 month from just a $100,000 portfolio. Now that's over $24,000 a year, or an annual yield of roughly 24.4%. And remember earlier, where we looked at SCHD, that's only giving you a yield of 3.97%. So that's just $3,970 on that same $100,000 portfolio. So we're talking about generating nearly 7 times more monthly income with this strategy than traditional dividend investing. You're pulling in over $2,000 a month. You can cover bills, you can cover mortgage payments, even pay for vacation without needing a big portfolio. And this brings me to what this strategy is actually known as and why it's been the go-to of smart traders for more than 2 decades now. Now, this strategy is known as the wheel because it's simple, repeatable, and generates steady monthly income regardless of what the market is doing. And why it works so consistently is that you're getting paid up front to give other investors the opportunity to speculate on price. So while they're gambling on whether stocks are going to go up or down, you're simply collecting steady payments from both sides. So they're the gamblers and you are the casino. And if you know anything about gambling, the house always wins. And the best part for me, managing the trades for the wheel takes me less than 1 hour per week. So I get that monthly income without turning this into a full-time job. Now, I've been perfecting this exact strategy for over 6 years in my own account. And I've now taught it to more than 410 students. And they're generating anywhere from $500 to over $20,000 per month using these exact principles. And this has nothing to do with luck or timing the market. Instead, it's all about having a clear, repeatable system and the right guidance. Now, if you're serious about learning the wheel strategy, I've actually written a best-selling book on this exact subject, and it breaks everything down step by step. It's currently got over 600 reviews on Amazon, but I've got something really cool for you today. You see, there's actually a lost chapter that didn't make it into the published version. And this chapter reveals the most advanced techniques for the wheel, which is usually only reserved for students in my program. But you can get that exclusive lost chapter bonus for free just by clicking the link in the description below. And this is the exact system that I personally use to generate those monthly income streams of $2,000 or more with just a modest portfolio. And it's everything that you need to start generating real income yourself. Like I said, it's completely free. Links in the description. So the choice is yours. You can keep chasing those 3% dividend yields and praying companies don't cut their payouts, or you can take control and start generating meaningful monthly income with the wheel as early as today. So get a copy of that book, and I hope to see you in the next video.